Hello and welcome to the Sterling Podcast. I'm Julia Williams, your host. Now, today we're talking about something that affects every business, whether they like it or not. We'll be talking about IT, cybersecurity, broadband, telecoms, and most importantly, we'll be talking about getting it right first time. Now, I am joined by none other than Liam Pearce from Pearce IT and Telecomms. So welcome, Liam.
Welcome.
It's
Thanks
good
for
to have
having
you
me.
here. So look, Liam, tell me a little bit about you and tell me a little bit about your business.
So Pearce IT was originally founded in 2012, after years of freelancing and working for large corporate businesses, I really wanted to make a difference to those businesses that started up. They've left corporate land where they had someone at the end of the phone that could, connect up, make things work, and just really bring that sort of feel back to the small business.
Now, I know one of the things that you look at is cybersecurity, which sounds incredibly scary for somebody like me anyway. But what actually is it in terms of a business? What is cybersecurity and why should businesses be really making sure that they're prepped?
So with cybersecurity, it's one of those things that people need to look at really with an open mind. It's at the end of the day, in the old days, everything was held internally on their local devices. It was safe and secure unless someone broke into the premises. It's unlikely to get accessed. Nowadays, with everything in the cloud, everything needs to be two-factor authentication, and you need to have good cybersecurity and then good backups to make sure that should anything bad happen, that it actually can be locked down, it can be recovered, and most importantly, your data isn't accessible by those that shouldn't be having access to it.
If you haven't got an awareness though, Liam, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here. You've got a business, you set it up, and sometimes cybersecurity is the last thing on your mind. Do you often find that people come to you only when it's too late? Something has happened, and
Sometimes, yeah.
Can you give me an example of that when that has happened to you and sort of the cost to the business because they weren't prepared?
So businesses that don't take cybersecurity as a sort of forefront of their IT strategy,
Mm.
those are risks, things like data breaches. It could be they're saving the data in the wrong geographical area, which can cause issues with GDPR. It can cause issue with cyber essentials. And your data is accessible by anyone, anywhere in the world, usually with the cloud. So it's really important to make sure that you've got good security, it's accessible to those that need it. And really just talking to someone like a professional like ourselves that we can actually sit down with you and say, what compliantly do you need? Do you need Cyber Essentials certified? Do you need to work to an ISO 27001 certification? And how secure do you need to be? And also, unfortunately, it does sometimes come down to budget. There's a lot of business applications out there that can lock policies down, and there's a lot of applications out there that can filter out the bad stuff. But unfortunately, the better the level you want, unfortunately, there is a slight increase in cost for that as well.
Do you find that because when people get hacked, you hear it all the time. What does that mean? I mean, what do they do with your data and information?
A lot of the data, it could be that they've encrypted your device and they're going to give you a ransom for it. So in which case they'd unlock the data for you. That's sort of the worst ones where a device becomes compromised. Ideally, you need to keep the devices locked down just so that you're manageable. They reckon that you are 9 times more at risk by actually having an unmanaged device with working with local admin permissions on your device. And all it takes is a momentary lapse. So I just click that link or I just open that email, and all of a sudden you're finding that you are having issues with your device.
Mm. In your experience, do businesses generally know kind of what IT or tech that they actually need, or are they unsure?
A lot of businesses are unsure, particularly with the smaller businesses. They've started up, it's usually their son, their daughter, or someone in the family or a family friend that set it up. So those emails may not be held with Office 365. They could be held with on the back of a website. Emails could even be used in a Gmail account. And really, people will naively go into it and they will set it all up and say, oh, we'll tidy it up later. But unfortunately, as the business gets bigger, it gets a lot more of a hassle of trying to tidy it up first time. We find a lot of our clients, when we onboard them, that they've got multiple subscriptions for the same products. So they could have Dropbox, they could have Office 365, they could have their email with Gmail, they could be using all these different applications. And really, we can help them consolidate their costs by bringing it all into one bucket, which making it safe and secure, backed up, and as secure as possible.
So is your advice really to see somebody like you beforehand, rather than
Definitely.
leaving it till it's too late?
Definitely. If you get it right first time, then you've got peace of mind that you know your data is safe and secure, backed up. And the most important thing is if you've got a disgruntled employee, if they delete data or they maliciously alter data, that you can actually restore that back from the backup. So using
Oh,
some
wow.
backup software that backs that up to every 2 hours just gives you that peace of mind that should the worst happen, you can still get your data back.
I suppose it's risk management really for you. You know, when you just said that, I never even thought that that could be a thing, but of course it could be, couldn't it? You know?
Yeah.
Um, what would you say in terms of the risks of buying IT or maybe cyber solutions without really understanding what it is the business needs?
With cyber, it's just really understanding what you need as a minimum requirement legally to trade. So people in the care industry, for instance, or they work in education,
Mm.
they have a certain guidelines of minimum security they must have and they must implement, for them to receive funding and just enable to trade on a daily basis. Um, there's a lot of shiny things in there. You could go out to your local PC world, and I'm sure they will sell you many packages which all do cybersecurity to a certain degree. Whether they're compliant as a business arena as opposed to just as a home user, then that's where the things differ. You don't want to be paid for multiple subscriptions, like 3 lots of antivirus for your laptop or your PC. You just want to be paid for one that's solid and reliable, and it alerts you when you've had issues. So it's looking at all these multiple products that you're not paying for everything twice or more times, as sometimes happens. You've got a package that works and it'll be made up of multiple components, whether it's the antivirus, device encryption, email hosting, sharing files with your colleagues. And as a business owner, what you want to know is if I get rid of that user account, would it cut them off from everything that they shouldn't have access to anymore? And more importantly, as time goes on, people have data on their mobile phones. It's making sure your corporate data never leaves your corporate grasp. You want to be able to take that back when you need to, and it's not going to get compromised out there on third party devices.
How would people generally tend to work with you? Supposing I did have an issue or I wanted to engage with your company, what's the process, Liam?
So originally, we like to start off with either a video call or preferably a one-to-one with our new clients to really sit down and understand what it is they're looking to get from their IT, what they're currently using, and then we try and build in a 12-month plan and a 3-year plan of exactly what they've got, where they're going, and just making sure that what they've got is fit for purpose. Sometimes it's a case of migrating them across to things like Office 365. Sometimes it's looking at, why have you got so many different versions of antivirus on your machine? You bought the laptop, you got the 3 months free, but no one's actually renewed that subscription at the end of it. Are you running with admin credentials? Can you go around and install software on your device, or does it always prompt you for the password? It's annoying prompting for the passwords, but in the same way as if you clicked a link and downloaded something that you thought was genuine, at least it's that second chance of actually saying, no, that's not actually where it should have come from. So we just like to sit down, really understand what our clients' needs are, where they're going with their IT, and just really help to reduce the cost, but also to streamline the process.
Now, there's a lot of noise around at the moment when it comes to the new broadband options. So you've got full fibre, you've got business broadband, you've got lease lines. It's so confusing. Tell me, tell me about it.
There's so many different connections out there, whether it's the old copper cables, which are all being decommissioned as time goes on, all the way up to lease lines, which is a sort of high end, high cost of broadband. So we work with a number of providers. We don't just work with OpenReach. We work
Oh,
with a lot of off-net providers, and we can also work with satellite providers as well. So we can look around, we can see what all the different providers offer, who's giving the best deal for your area. Those deals will change on a monthly or daily basis because as the fibre providers are rolling out new fibre to new areas, We can sign up for alerts. We can make sure that we're finding out what's coming into your area just to enable you to have the fastest broadband at the most sensible price. Ideally, everyone will be on like lease lines and expensive stuff like that, but not everyone's got £300 to £400 a month to spend on these connections. So we can really help with the full fibre of really bringing that price down. Because we
Mm.
work with a number of providers, we do push them due to the number of connections we've got to actually reduce their price so that we would do the first line fix. You're not finding a call center. You're not going through if you turned it off, turned it on again. We can do the basic checks ourselves in house, and we can just really make sure that we get your broadband up and running as quickly as possible. And for businesses that are really focused on, they've got to have good, fast, solid internet connections. We also make sure they've got failover as well. So should their main
Mm.
broadband line go down, particularly in the care industry where they've all their data about their clients is all in the cloud, we can make sure it fails over to another connection, which won't get interrupted by the loss of the first service.
Interesting. In terms of, well, phones are vital for everyone, but particularly vital for businesses. What should companies be really looking at when they're looking at, setting up or reviewing their telecoms?
So when you're reviewing your telecoms, it's really important to decide, how are you going to answer the phone? We putting out phone systems, every day, and we find a number of people that actually order a phone system don't have physical phones on desk anymore. So a lot of
Oh,
people are using headsets. They're using an app on a mobile phone or an app on the laptop, really enabling them to be your staff to be able to work from wherever you want. Not everyone's based in an office these days. No one's really. They want to be able to work wherever and whenever they want. It also helps with things like school holidays where you've got children around, and you just need to be able to make those couple of business calls during those school holidays when you're not taking school holiday, but you just need that time off or to enable you to work wherever you want. And
yeah.
for disaster recovery and business continuity, it's really essential that you can work and make and receive business calls wherever you are. Could be you working in a noisy office and you just need to go somewhere quiet. It could be you're away on business and you still need to make those phone calls. But with a cloud connected telephony service, you should be able to work from wherever you want, whenever you want.
That's amazing, really. I suppose when you're that flexible as well, it really does help with the customer experience and maybe, also how the team work and interact between themselves. If you could give businesses just one piece of advice, either about IT, cybersecurity, or telecoms, what would it be?
Speak to someone first. Speak to someone that's a professional in it. We've all done a bit of a DIY stuff in our houses. We've put it together. It works 95% of the time. But when you get that leak coming through the ceiling that you did a bit of plumbing upstairs the week before,
Yeah,
you really don't want that experience. So it's just to get, whether it's just a sounding board or speaking to an IT provider, we're not about making sales. We're more about just actually delivering the right service at the right cost. So it's making sure that you are compliant, your data's secure, and you can sleep at night. And by talking to an IT professional, you can make sure that happens. Same with the broadband. There's a lot of pop-up companies which all say, "Oh, we get really fast broadband," and they come to install it. It's like, I'm not quite too sure about that, or it'll be 6 months away. But looking at what's out there now, it's not about the bleeding edge technology; it's the cutting edge technology. What's out there, tried and tested and reliable.
yeah.
That's the most important bit for every business.
Oh, I think you're 100% right in terms of what you just said then. So, Liam, thank you so much for being part of this podcast and sharing a wealth of knowledge and experience when it comes to cybersecurity, broadband, telecom, phones, you name it. If you want to find out more about Pearce IT and telecommunications, then please do get in touch with me. Also, equally, it will be below the details below the podcast details as well. Thank you, Liam.
Thank you very much.